is The Citizens on Dove Television. My name is Mike Adekunle. We want to thank God and first and foremost for another great opportunity and for what the Lord is doing in Nigeria, our very precious nation. We don't have any other country, you know. This is the country we have, Nigeria, and we desire the good of this nation. We desire the prosperity of this nation. So it is our prayer that this nation will prosper, you know, against whatever that might be happening. We believe we will see the light of the day and this nation will prosper. And you know what? In the prosperity of this nation, I have my part to play. You have your part to play. And even the political class, our ruling class, they also have their own part to play in this. So everybody must play their part. All hands must be on deck to ensure that we achieve our desired goal, our desired over this nation, and that the Lord will help us to achieve in Jesus' name. So today is a very special edition because you will have opportunity to interact with us via SMS today. Yes, we are making that happen today. You know, usually it will have been that you drop SMS with us or you call us later or what have you, but then this one, you can interact with us live and direct. So you can send in SMS if you have any question, even as we go ahead in our conversation. I have a very special fellow with me in the studio. She's a youth, godly, very passionate about Nigeria, very, very passionate. And of course, she is a legal practitioner and citizen educator. And by name, she is Temitope Olasumonu. Temitope Olasumonu, good to have you with us today on The Citizen.
Good afternoon, sir. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very honored.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Being a citizen educator, what do you do?
Okay. It actually stems from my profession of being a lawyer.
Okay.
Being a lawyer, I'm conversant by training, of course, with laws. And that informed me over the years that a lot of people in Nigeria don't know their rights. And usually it's medicine after death. People find out their rights after they've gotten into trouble.
Okay.
Probably, it could be a civil matter, it could be a legal matter, and that's when you get to find out their rights. And it's not supposed to be so. And from a personal perspective, lawyers and judges, you know, determine matters. Okay, the judge who is the determinator, the educator, and the lawyer is the advocate. And they talk about matters. And the matters they're talking about would include people, not themselves. So the people they're talking about only get to find out the things they're talking about in court. And you see people, you know, fidgeting, some people blow their cases in court.
Two persons discussing your own matter,
yes, so
and
you
don't have idea of the matter.
It's just like saying you're going to the registry or you're standing at the altar and you have nothing, you have no clue about what the marriage is by the time you get to the altar. And it's not supposed to be so. It's not a lot of issues and problems will be reduced if Nigerians were actively participatory in knowing their rights.
And they are aware of their rights.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, all right. So today we are looking at the topic together, politics and the polity. Politics and the polity. Citizens' participation and ownership.
Yes.
All right. So I'd like you to give your brief overview of what you perceived of the political landscape of Nigeria. You know, so what have you seen about the politics of Nigeria?
Okay, I would like to speak from the angle of being a citizens educator because we've heard so much about the ruling class over the years. We are so fixated on what the ruling class is doing, and we forget that there's the other side of the balance. That's the people. Okay. And so the ruling class, usually they think, or it seems that we think more often than not that our responsibility and participation is only occasioned upon an election. So you see people scrambling about during registration, voters registration. They think that that's their part. But in my humble opinion, the citizens carry weight because people who are in the ruling class can be there for such a time, like maybe 4 years.
For a certain period of time.
But all of us, whether the ruling class or whether the citizen way, we're actually on the other divide. We are the population. We are the polity. And so like a Venn diagram, there's this, like a Venn diagram in mathematics, you have two circles and they join in the middle. And we are included in politics in Nigeria, but it seems that citizens just think it has to do with
voting. It appears we are included on paper and not in the reality.
I think because we chose to be that way. And then I think that probably because of our worldviews and our education. When I mean education now, I don't mean that people are illiterate. What I mean is exposure. The things,
awareness of our rights and our participation.
Absolutely.
You know,
yes. If you know about something, the more you know about something, the more you feel like you should be involved. People step back when they think they don't know. People reserve their comments when they think they don't know. For example, you could be in a bus and people are arguing over something. As a lawyer, when people are arguing the law and they are going off track, and if they are becoming opinionated, it's about opinions more than facts or more than the legal provisions, I should be able to step in. I don't own the judiciary. I don't own the constitution, but that knowledge informs me to guide accurately. So I think that the more we know as citizens, the more we'll be able to participate. And one thing is that why does it seem that the ruling class seems to get the benefits of what we call the national cake, so to speak? It's because they are more focused, they are more consistent, and they are more active, participatory. They've taken a sense of ownership. But we are, like I said, I keep going back to the issue of the electoral matter. We just do it once in every 4 years. And every other thing is just side comments. But like I said, when you even look at the percentage of the ruling class, they are less compared to we, the populace.
Sure.
They are more. And numbers count. Like, for example, on YouTube, we know numbers count. There's a personal favorite that I have. She talks about national matters in the US. And she gets about 1 million views one day when she posts Candace Owens. She's a commentator on politics. And she has become an influencer because of the weight of people that are behind her. So you cannot say that as one person, I don't count, or my views don't count. That's just one person in America. Once she pushes out a vlog, a video, people respond to it. And she's not in the government. She's a citizen. She feels that she feels that leadership should be accountable on some matters.
But it appears that over time, our view has not been counting. Our views have not been, respected over time. And that has caused, a huge number of the populace to lay back, to say, you know what, I'm not being recognized there. I better keep quiet and not participate. And that has caused many of us who are citizens to just keep quiet and play a passive role in the scheme of things in Nigeria. You get what I'm trying to say right now? So how do you address such injustice over time that has caused people, to lay back in their opinions?
In my own opinion, it will be two things. Knowledge. They say, in my secondary school, our motto was knowledge is power. Knowledge. You start with that. For you to be able to interface with people, on the other hand, you have to have knowledge. I'll give an example of, for example, you're driving, as we know in Nigeria, on Nigerian roads. People who have this lawyer stickers or whatever, when a policeman or a member of the army standing on the road knows that you're a lawyer, there's a measure of respect that you're earned, that you're entitled to, or you're given, you're accorded. And there's a way they treat you because you are knowledgeable. And my point is that you cannot be tossed off the conversation of, politics and, being as a member of the citizenry. You cannot be tossed off the conversation when you have knowledge. Knowledge gives you a sense of ownership. I gave the example earlier when people are arguing, probably in a bus or in a community or anywhere where people are having conversations. And I seem to know something that they don't know because it's not their profession and area. Because of the sense of knowledge I have, I'll be able to wade in. So you have to have knowledge and you have to have interests. And that's why we're having this conversation, so that things can change. Yes, we can say over the years, the world is fast changing and we know it. Look at the Gen Zs, for example. We have a problem with the Gen Zs because of their attitude of asking questions and speaking up their minds. They did not come from the pact where information was very limited. I think what empowers the Gen Z to speak up their minds today is because they know what you know. So they feel that why should you just subjugate them and keep them quiet?
Now, I like us to speak to our demography. I mean, our demography, we are youths, you get what I'm trying to say. So, and we are the chunk, we are the larger percentage
of the population.
Of the population.
Yes.
But how have you seen our participation over the time? And what should we be doing going forward as youths?
Okay, because I'm born in this age and I'm a youth in this age, I would speak for youth in this age from how I've interfaced and related. Partly, I could say that first of all, we're involved. We're not apathetic.
Okay.
We have a sense of ownership.
Okay.
We are educated. At least the people I relate with. I mean, I served in about 2012, and I'm coming with that feedback of having merged and interacted with youths from different parts of the country. So I cannot say that the Nigerian youth is apathetic. It's just that I think we need to have resilience in the pursuit of this conversation.
In not giving up.
Yes,
attitude.
in not giving up, because you are just stepping on board. You look at the average politician. Look at the way they play their cards. A politician is, I remember many years ago, they were already talking about 2023. And actually, the next post, 2027, sorry. Yeah. Many years ago, they were already talking about it. The politician does not look at time as far away. He is proactive. And I think that the citizen should, like I said, not wait for every 4 years. Should. So the youth have to be resilient. They've been participatory. And one other thing I wanted to say to the issue of being pushed off the conversation as citizenry, it's about whether we have been Judases or not, whether we have sold our rights.
Okay.
There's a way that I believe that one of the greatest power is your ability to say yes or no. The soulish realm. Yeah. That's what makes you. That's why in some circles they say you sell your soul. When you sell your soul, you don't have the ability to be your own person again. Yes. So no matter how poor and little you are in your own eyes or your sight, whatever background you come from, once you still have that power of yes and no, nobody can or should be able to clamp you down.
Do you think we are, our generation or our demography, do you think we are falling for the money bag politics or stomach infrastructure thing?
Thank you for mentioning stomach infrastructure. That's what I was going to. Okay. And it's because, like I said, scripture says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So a lot of people these days, no matter how, in quote and unquote, illiterate a person is, when you go and say, Mama Silifa, I got 25 naira, take 25 naira, I want to buy your child's destiny, they will not say yes. It's because they know the purpose and the import of you saying you want to give them 25 naira for your child's destiny. It's because they don't know the weight and the gravity of the things that are being done with stomach infrastructure. I think it's going to get to a point where they understand that this can no longer work for every 4 years. Yeah. So about the youth, whether or not they are playing to, I could say that maybe some arrowheads up there, but I think the average Nigerian youth, we also have leadership amongst the youth. Yeah. Yes, some people may sell out. We cannot discountenance that fact. But the average Nigerian youth on the street is actually tired of certain things. So I wouldn't say they sell out.
So what should we be doing? Okay. What should be the conversation going forward?
Okay.
Like you said, I hate to mention 2027 because, like you said, and that I know, it's a concluded deal, actually. There might be little or nothing we will say or do now that will have a significant effect on 2027.
I think we should have hope, though. We should have hope, because the more we think that things are not going to be changed, that's apathy we are talking about. Okay. That's taking the back seat that we're talking about. And we're trying to correct that mindset.
They know how they play these cards. They have decided. They know what they are about to do or what they are going to do. They have concluded.
Can I give an example, a scriptural example? Okay, two people come to mind. The first one is David. For 40 days straight, one man came and started, terrorizing the nation. He was big. He had the stature. He had the experience. Yeah. He was a warrior from his days of youth. Yes. So he had a track record. He was good at the game. And the people had the mindset that they were all defeated, even King Saul. But David was a youth. And David said, in the backside of where I was in the wilderness, the Lord did this, the Lord did that. And in Christianity, and it's not just Christianity. Christianity is, they say culture is the way of life. It's the way of life of a people. And we have John 14:6 that says Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life. So Jesus is our new culture. So we don't go against the backdrop of what the old culture says, that this has been status quo. And the Bible says, whose report shall you believe? What is, if we say that the ruling class or certain people have resolved this, are we saying that the Almighty no longer rules in the affairs of men? So you don't just take a back seat. The same thing with Gideon. In his private corner, he was saying, if the Lord is with us, why so and so that has been happening? So you don't just fall back on history. I give myself a personal example. I say, for example, if you're in SS3 or SS2, you say because for the past 14 years, all the people that have done WAEC in your school, they failed. That means you too are going to fail. Then don't bother sitting for the exam. You'll be dejected. But destiny is personal. Times and seasons are personal. You wouldn't say because it has always failed. It will always, no. There's always a change. The Bible says there's time for everything. And the Bible says that God is in control of times and seasons. So I don't want us to leave it to think that they are the Alpha and the Omega.
So what should we be doing going forward?
What we should be doing is beyond speaking. Nigerians are very good with conversations. We're very good with, I wouldn't say interfering because our matter. So
and many of us are online gurus.
Yes, we are. In fact, thank God for the comment section. So people know that Nigerians can talk and that we can get all of that. So beyond the talk, one of the things that I written in my notes is that, for example, there are certain, in America, for example, you have the liberals, you have the conservatives.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, we have the progressive. As a Nigerian youth, why are they called progressives? Do you know? So when you're delving into politics, do you have basic information of what you're delving into? You cannot delve into uncharted waters that you don't know about. So do you know? And one of the things I would say is that do not form opinions in obscurity. I'll give the example of the US. You have the liberals, you have the conservatives. Even people in homes know whether they are leaning in favor of the liberals or conservative. You as a Nigerian youth, beyond or before going to the polls, what's your concept? What's your school of thought? So I'm just trying to say... The liberals,
you mean the Republican? Is it
Yes, in America, I'm talking about the way they rule and all of that, their party systems and all of that. I'm saying that beyond us being opinionated or being vocal, our vocality should not be based on emotions. They should be informed. You don't form opinions in obscurity. So you should be educated. Thank God for the not too young to run bill. Yeah. They changed things. For example, before to be a House of Reps member, you have to be at least age 30. Now it's been reduced to 25. It's because some people pressured for that. Okay, so one of the things I would expect the Nigerian youth to do is that when bills are being passed or about to be passed into law, wade in, go for hearings. I talked about the issue of courts. Go to the courts. Be informed in all that goes on. Have a sense of ownership. What goes on in the executive? What goes on in the judiciary? What goes on in the legislature?
You know, it appears that life is usually or mostly now online.
Yes.
All these things you are saying right now, okay, go to the house, go to the court. And average youths don't want to go to those places. But when you bring those places online, sure they will attend.
That's what interest doesn't matter. We know we talked about ownership. You cannot own what you are not interested about. Okay. And that's why we started from the beginning by saying that, participation, that there's a Venn diagram. That you have the ruling class and you have the polity, the citizenry. And we talked about the weights that the citizenry carries and the fact that the citizenry is the pulse of the nation. The issue of maybe crisis, security and all of that, it's not just the ruling class. For example, kidnapping in Nigeria or, any ill in society. Actually, the ruling class are not even the instigator of those things. It's the citizenry. For example, a citizen in Nigeria can give the whole nation a bad name. So that's your contribution as a citizen in a negative light. But how come you can't do something in the positive light? So you have to go the extra mile. David did the same thing. He went the extra mile. They had a challenge. And one of the things I would like to advise our Nigerian youth is that you just don't criticize. You complement your criticism with solution. I remember when Joseph had that dream, there was going to be famine. Some people will feel like, oh, I'm the boss, I'm a prophet, I can see the future. He told Pharaoh there was going to be famine, but you just don't stop there. You proffer solutions. You notice that Pharaoh did not ask him, but he was instinctive enough to proffer a solution. So in all of this talk, we should look, because going forward, these people will pass away because time and chance happens to them all. They would go to the great beyond when God calls them home. We're going to be left with each other here. So let's not quit so early. Let's start preparing. Let's start
So
preparing.
you are saying invariably that there is hope
There's
for
absolutely
us
hope.
and for the young folks in
There's
Nigeria.
absolutely hope.
We can still get things right.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for your thoughts. All right. Like I said earlier, you can be part of the conversation through the phone line on your TV screen right now. Just send SMS to us and let us know what you feel about this. All right. On the final note with you, because we have a second part to this conversation. Now we bring in another fellow who will be speaking to us on the area of business. You know, it's a new year and we want to get it right.
Yeah.
So now, as we wrap up, how do we, now they said court is the hope of the common man. So also give us, what's your general opinion or your view as concerning our judiciary system in Nigeria? Are we making headway? Are we getting somewhere, or we are retrogressing? Because it appears like when anything happens now, they say, go to court. Because they know that you go to court, things can be changed over there. Go to court, go to court. Are we still getting justice in court?
All right. For my experience as a lawyer, we've had matters. I would speak for you, and I can only speak from my view. One of the things I said earlier is that do not form opinions in obscurity. It's quite easy to say, in philosophy and logic, they talk about hasty generalizations.
Okay.
And in law, we talk about facts, we talk about evidence. We don't talk about opinions. Whatever opinion must actually be predicated on facts. So I would speak from the angle of what I've experienced, the facts that I've come with. I've experienced justice being done. For example, I was privileged to work in the judiciary.
Not only being said, but being done.
Being done, yes. I've witnessed matters, and one of the things that judges do is to deliver justice without fear or favor. And I would say that, yes, I have been privileged to witness those things. And that's not to say that, obviously, we don't have, in every profession, you have the downside, especially in this nation.
Okay.
So I would say that there's still hope. There's still hope. And the more pressure it is from the populace, I will go back to this, on their leadership, because leadership cuts across executive, legislature, and judiciary. The more pressure it is on these bodies to do the right thing from the populace, the more you are shaping and transforming society. So to answer your question, I have witnessed justice being delivered. Yes, is there room for improvement? Absolutely. And who can do that? Who can, who is that voice, or who are the sect of people that can ask for more? Because I wish the populace knew the power of what they had. You know how some people will do this and what you call damage control when they see that when a public figure says that the public is talking. These days, have you not noticed that there's a lot of damage control? Because the populace, the Lord has somehow done and helped the internet that people cannot speak. And public figures no longer feel like they are principal, all alpha and omega. They are becoming accountable to people gradually. So I believe that while there's a lot to be done, room for improvement, we should not stop asking for justice and better governance as citizens. Yes.
All right. Tebitokpe Olasumono. In fact, I wish we could just continue on this, but you know what? I want to promise you, especially, we are going to bring you back, especially to start talking to us on the angles of laws and rights and all that. Some of these things, many of us don't read them. So you people who had gone ahead to read for us, come and explain to us and how to get out of some quagmire of laws and all that.
I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank
really
you
appreciate
too. Thank you,
Dove
Media.
Thank
you, the RCTG. Yes,
all
thank you.
right, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so please, I'd like you to still stick around with us. We shall be back after this time out, and then I'll be bringing in another fellow who will be, helping us make sense around business world this year. Thank you. Stay with us. We shall be back.
In a world filled with noise, find the voice of truth. Whether you're on the go, or whether you are home, or whether you are gathered with friends, things are moving so fast and there's a tendency to miss major information. But for you not to miss the tiniest details, there's a place you can run to. Introducing OH Prime, your all-in-one TV app. You get the latest news, you get the trends, you get sermons, you get worship, you get movies, and the latest gist in town. I know you guys like gist. Everything that you need for a great life, you catch them on OH Prime app. I'm there and I can't wait to see you join us. I recommend OH Prime TV app, available on Apple Store, Google Store, and all digital platforms where you can download things from. You need to download OH Prime today.
You can now advertise with Dove Television and let your brand shine alongside our uplifting content. This could be either on-screen adverts, sponsored segments, live broadcast, and many others. For further inquiries, please contact marketing@dovevision.org. You can also call 0815-5579-502 or 0802-8913-878. You can also call 0803-6889-630. Dove Television, taking your brand around the world.
Hooray! The fulfillment of the promise of God. I will give you a city. To Daddy G.O. Pastor Enoch Adejare Adeboye is here. The redemption city of God. A place of unprecedented surge of countless multitude that will be part of the preparation of the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ through the Redeemed Christian Church of God. A city of numerous testimonies. A place every Christian must visit in their lifetime. Come and see the faithfulness of God in His beloved Son and lives of many. Come on a pilgrimage to the city of 6 altars, Jordan Baptismal Center, the new auditorium, kilometer 3x3, the old auditorium, the Hallelujah House of Prayer, a place of non-stop prayer 247. The location of earthquake, a place where Daddy Gio prayed and the earth shook. The Open Heavens International Center, the first and befitting house of Daddy Gio, and lots more. Enjoy a unique array of hospitality and adequate security services, uninterrupted power supply, clean water, and above all, God's presence. You can be a partner with the development of the Redemption City of God by obtaining a form. For more inquiries, visit www.redemptioncityofgod.org. Welcome to the world of Daddy Gio, the Redemption City of God, a place of unending evidence of testimony.
All right, welcome back, and thank you for still staying with us. Like I told us before we went on the break that at this second session of the conversation, we are going to be looking at business, because earlier we were talking about laws and politics, citizenship, and all that. And wonderful conversation. If you missed on that, go on our YouTube page at DOVETV or Dove Television and catch up with what we've said there. Very lovely stuff there. Now with me I have Pastor Adetunji Faith Afolabi, who is MD CEO Microfinance Agricultural Learning and Development Center, MLDC, Ikeja, Lagos, and of course a regional youth pastor with RCCG Region 53. Good to have you with us, Pastor Afolabi.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be in the studio.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. How are you doing? And good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. All right. So at this time, we are looking at navigating 2026, business and economic outlook for SMEs. And in case you don't know, a prophecy had gone out this year through our Father in the Lord, Daddy Adeboye, that there is going to be more wins for SMEs this year. You heard that, right?
Yes, I did. A very interesting conversation. In fact, I like to take off from that. Okay. The Bible said in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 18, this is Paul, another apostle, commending the younger apostle to say, prophecy has gone ahead of you, but you don't need to sit up. You need to war with prophecy.
Yes.
So when we receive such a prophecy from our Father and the Lord about, in particular, the capture for that prophecy is that many SME will begin to blossom in 2026. And so when we receive that kind of prophecy as a child of God in business, we refer to ourselves as apostles in the marketplace because we represent God wherever we find ourselves. It's also begin to position our businesses, as small and SME, to tap into the avalanche of the resources and what God has available for SME, particularly in this year.
Okay, who are those in SMEs?
Okay, yes.
And let's spread it out. SMEs, small and medium scale enterprises.
Yes.
All right. So who are those playing in that, area?
Okay, so before now, in fact, because last year there were this presidential advisory committee on tax that has rolled out the new tax regime. Before that time, SME is a business whose total annual revenue is in the bracket of 20 million.
Okay.
But now with this new tax structure now, an SME will be a business whose total revenue per annum is in the range of 200 million. So that definitely means that there will be more business in that bracket now this year. Now we have the opportunity to blossom if they follow the prophecy and do quite a few things right this year.
Okay. So doing quite a few things right. What are those things they need to do right? But then I would love to also ask you a kind of a survey of how SMEs have been doing in Nigeria before 2026. And do you think, I will not say we should forget the prophecy, but just a little out of the prophecy now, do you think there is hope for SMEs in Nigeria looking at the previous or looking at the trajectory of how it has been happening?
Okay, so SME globally is the engine room of growth and development in all economies.
Yes.
The very big businesses we see today started as SME. In fact, there is a research that points to the fact that the United States economy, which is arguably the #1 economy globally, is powered by SME. Last year, SME, account to about 46% of the GDP, the national GDP totally.
Okay.
Between 46 and 48. And this year report will be around the same thing. In fact, as at last week, the IMF global recommendation is that because we are looking at global outlook now, the economic outlook for SME also as well, is to say that the economy of Nigeria, the GDP will grow between 4.2 to 4.3 this year and will end around 5% by December 2026. That means the latitude for SME to grow and blossom in Nigeria is quite wide.
Okay.
The margin has been increased, by analysis. And, we are saying, even though we are saying, okay, if you put the prophecy aside, there are certain things, because one of the challenges that SME has faced in time past has been addressed now. Short of cash, business support funding, advisory services, recruiters skill to run the businesses are not available. But with more money available to SME now, you can expand your operation. For instance, so SME in that category, if I will, digress a bit to that, SME in that category are businesses from stylists by the roadside to fashion designing shop to a small printing company to a small bookshop, to a small QSR fast food restaurant. Those are SME. Those are the people in SME bracket. You are not now going to be burdened by tax again, because you have a lot of money available to you to expand your operation, to deepen your knowledge in that core area, and to also expand your business to one or two other locations to serve the customer. So SME are the group of businesses in that category, and that can take advantage of what the government has made available and what God is saying regarding the economy this year.
Now, so far, they say that government don't have business being in business. All governments will need to do, or those in affairs of government, will be that they provide enabling environment for SMEs or for businesses to thrive. But in Nigeria, do we have such enabling environment? Because in the past years, it has been that most of all these SMEs, and even the bigger ones, are packing out of Nigeria. You hear that, okay, this whole company had gone to Ghana, so company had relocated to so place and all that. Now, what has changed? And what do you think will still change in Nigeria this year? And what are the things, I'm putting like about 3 questions together now. What are the things you feel or that government had put in place to gear up or to create an enabling environment this year for SMEs?
Okay, to start with, I think number one, I will start with the last question, which is the creating enabling environment.
Yes.
Now, the new tax structure has created a much more latitude for business, because one of the challenges, like I mentioned, is capital, access to fund. A lot of SME are saying they don't have access to fund, but today now we have the Bank of Industry supporting SME. Just this week, the State House has released a press release that government want to expand the trader money, the market money, and the farmers money, which is a cash transfer initiative that government launched, at the last administration. Government is, revamping that and expanding the scope.
They want to look at that again.
So
the one they were doing before, going to markets,
cash transfer,
handing cash to people.
In fact, it was 2 days ago I read on the State House press release that's government is revisiting that again. Packaging about those 3 initiatives together to support the small business and smallholder farmers. And now, so what the implication of this is that there will be access to more funding. Apart from you not being taxed, you also have access to other supports, institutional support, grant support from government, either with any of the agencies of government, whether through NISA or through any of the SMEDAN or through Bank of Industry. That's number one. Number two, bigger businesses might have packed out of Nigeria, but because there are a few things that probably will lead to that, because they have higher capital outlay. Now, what that means is that what a big industry player is spending on fuel, on diesel, to power their operation 24 hours, small business doesn't need to do that. Now, in fact, there are alternative power consumption. You can use solar now. Early last year, we were launching an initiative with World Bank, about $4 billion, smart home initiative, where small business can, either approach a bank or financial institution to get solar-enabled panel to power their small shop. So you are not spending too much money on that. In fact, on the contrary, research has proven that businesses die between 3 or 5 years of operation. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. A lot of SME are springing up because they are leveraging a lot of things. Now, your capital outlay is quite cheap. Now, you don't need to you can run an SME in your home now. A lot of SME can leverage on the digital transformation, digital alternative that is happening, particularly with the age of AI. What you are spending to hire a graphic designer, you may no longer need to do that. You can do that on your own if you leverage the AI, artificial intelligence, through some of those channels that are available to do that. So these are some of the things that will play to the advantage of SME. Then the focus of discussion then for the SME should now be, how do I structure my business to take advantage of what government...
What do I need to know? What documents do I need to get?
So what do I need to... Now, that's why we're also advocating that they may need a lot of training. For instance, you need to understand some of these things we are mentioning, a lot of SME may not know. All right? But government information is in the public domain. You can Google statehouse.gov.ng and understand the initiative that government is playing now. Bank of Industry is also there. SMEDAN is there. Some of these areas where you can learn about the opportunities that are available. Even the new tax structure, that tax regime. There's a lot of discussion around that everywhere. People is talking about it, but it's primarily is to give more to the poor. Those are the SME and people serving the people at the bottom of the pyramid. Is to empower them, to galvanize the economy of Nigeria to the $1 trillion economy that the government is proposing. So there are a lot of opportunity for SME this year.
Okay, so what do you do in your establishment? Microfinance, agricultural?
Yes. The Microfinance Learning and Development Center was, a creation of necessity, because when the microfinance concept was launched 20 years ago, interestingly, it was 20 years last December.
Wow.
And so it was a new concept that developed in Bangladesh with Professor Yunus. And it was supposed to be an empowerment initiative to drive the economy, because it was noticed that the major commercial financial institutions were already very saturated, servicing big interest, big industry. But the bottom of the pyramid, who are the engine room of development are not serviced. For instance, somebody want to go to the bank. At those periods, they will tell you, go and bring the head of great-grandfather in the grave. And if you don't have a valid ID, international passport, driver license, those are the two main recognized ideas at that time. But excuse me, if somebody don't own a car, that means you can't have a driver license. If you have never traveled out of the country, there is no need for international passport. So you may be running your business, but you are disenfranchised. Let me put it that way. You are not bankable. You are not loanable as far as the bank is concerned. So government thought about these are some of the things that can power the economy. How do we encourage the people at the bottom of the pyramid? Then, Central Bank brought out that regulation to say, okay, we can operate a microfinance bank that will service the people at the bottom of the pyramid. And so those policies came about, and we have seen the trajectory. In fact, as at the last November, we have the Committee of Microfinance Bank meeting with the Central Bank in Nigeria. We realized that even the microfinance alone, there are over the threshold, the asset portfolio is in trillions. You can imagine if that area have not been looked at. That means a trillion naira opportunities available in Nigeria that is wasting. So that's how the microfinance concept came in. Then we now realize when the concept was launched, there is no requisite skill to power it, because a lot of people are coming from commercial bank background. They don't understand the raw concept of microfinance, which is more like entrepreneurial in nature. So we then set up this center to say, okay, how can we provide soft skill training, empowerment, technical assistance to microfinance institutions, and that's why we were set up. So in the last 10 years, this is what we'll be doing, capacity building in terms of advisory services, support them to meet regulatory demand, and also be able to push them, position them to access whether local or international development support, as the case may be. That's what we do in our institution.
All right. So because of our time, a hot discussion right now should have even been the tax thing, but we really don't want to.
It's a lot to talk about.
It's a lot. But I would just like you to give your opinion, like a general look into, okay, this new tax, reform, has it come to be of blessing to us or a curse? Has it come to be an advantage or a disadvantage, especially to small business owners and even individuals? Because there are issues around, okay, thank God you have experience of microfinance, issue of bank transfers and all that. I have a little money, maybe all I have is 50,000 in my account. I want to move it from one account to another, about almost 150 naira will go from it and all that. So how do we survive? What do we go from here?
Okay, interesting conversation. There are a lot of things that have been said about that. Even very early in the year, there are some posters around to say that you should include some narration in your transfer. Until the chairman of Presidential Advisory Committee on Tax came and said, we are not interested in your narration. So you transfer some money to somebody and you say, it's gift to. I mean, there was one funny caption. The narration for that caption is say, I borrowed him money, he's paying back. That's the narration of that transaction. Don't charge him tax. So, it's a funny thing. But I think the government is not interested in all of that. In fact, on the reverse, there's a mandatory stamp duty charge that you are made to pay when you make transfer. When you receive money in there. But that charge has been reversed now. It's the person making the transfer that is actually paying that stamp duty, which is 15 naira. I mean, a bank has issued circulars across to their customers in that regard. But this new tax regime, it's a progressive tax regime. Now, what we're doing before is more of the other tax policy. But what we are currently operating is a progressive where we take more from the affluent, the people that have much more, and we give more, to the people that do not have, which is more, I mean, for me, it's a biblical concept. You take from those that do not have, and give to those that have. So government is spreading the net. SME will be able to develop they will be able to develop and grow and provide job. SME can hire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals. And if that begins to happen, there will be multiplier effect on the growth and development of the country. So it's a blessing to SME, it's a blessing to individual. Individual, for instance, if your annual gross salary is within the range of 800,000, I'm sure the new tax policy you are not going to be charged. You're not going to be taxed. So you see that, and interestingly, there was a research that said almost about 90% or thereabout of people of bank balances are less than whether 500,000 naira. So the people that are shouting, are the people that don't even have anything in bank to be charged. All right, so the majority of the population, that's why I said this tax regime is a progressive tax. It gives more to the people. It's just for us to identify the opportunity and then go into business. People that have been idle, we now encourage people to go into business. Start your business with 100,000, 200,000. You are not facing charge of anything. Government opportunity and grant is available to you. Opportunity, training and development is available to you through SMEs, an institution like us. We can provide such kind of soft support. So he is a new era. And couple particularly for us in the household of faith. You know, there's a prophecy that has gone ahead. This prophecy is not only for members of RCCG. Remember, it's a prophecy for Nigeria.
Yeah.
And so whether you belong, it's not a prophecy for
Nigeria.
So whether you belong to this mission or not, you can tap to what God wants to do in Nigeria through that prophecy as a small, medium enterprises in Nigeria. So I will just sing it on that.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. In fact, I think one thing I can, promise our audience is to ensure that, okay, very soon one of these days, we still have, to do more on educating people on that tax, because a whole lot of funny, narratives and all that. I've been in talk with Mr. Taiwo, but he's quite busy actually. But then we'll try our best to ensure that we, get someone or him as well to really come and explain things to us, rightly. Now, on a final note now, because of our time, how should we be positioned as Christians to taking mountains of business in Nigeria? And from the way you look at it, Christians, are we doing better? Are we where we are supposed to be?
The honest answer to that is not. We are not. We are not taking charge. And the scripture, encourages in a lot of places that we should take the charge of God.
Yeah.
Now, the economy should not be left to the hands of unbelievers. I've had the privilege, I've been in business for close to 2 decades now, and I've had the privilege of working across organizations, both locally and multinational. And I can tell you this fact, organizations that commit to God, principles of Christian belief actually prosper. I was working in an organization where, as the head of business man, we were in a board meeting and the chairman of the company came and said, excuse me, folks, thankfully we are all Christians here. Before we start this meeting, we're going to pray. We shared communion. That's a business. We shared communion in that meeting. That was the first time I was seeing that kind of thing. I've read it in the books, I've heard about it, but in a business environment, the man shared communion in the evening while we start the meeting. It lasts for several hours. And I can tell you that business is still, prospering today. When we commit your business to the hand of God, don't let us also forget that we are stewards. All right? We are stewards. The Bible says, whatever your hand find to do, do it on that mind. Do it as unto the Lord. Whether in business, sometimes we live double life. In church, we are different. In business, we are that should not be. Because through you, a lot of us will not have opportunity like some of us pastors who have the privilege to minister on pulpit all the time. But your business could be your area of influence where you can...
Your own business might be your own altar.
Your own altar.
Where you reach out to people.
Where you reach out to people. I will share an interesting perspective as I close. Very early last year, the year before, just recovering from COVID and a lot of things, business were dying, economy was tightening, dollar was going high rate, and a lot of businesses that were working with us, relocated out of the country and all of that. The fortune of the business was doing. We had a board meeting, and the board said this trend was reversed, and I was worried. And when we resumed last year, I called my team together, folks. We are going to fast. It was surprising, of course, because they know we are going to fast. We fasted for the business for the very first time in a number of years. The very first month of that year, we hit our target.
Wow. The
second month, we hit our target back to back. And each time that happened, we are doing monthly review. I told the team, I said, don't forget we pray and we fasted. It was a real fast too. It was a real, we fasted and pray. And so, if you are Christians, God has given us opportunity with wisdom, with the understanding He has given us, and the knowledge of God, we can do better in the marketplace. Then we can begin to take position. Don't shy away from, confessing your faith where you are. Let people know what to stand for. A lot of time, if people don't know what to stand for, that's why they will bring a lot of alternatives to you. But if they know what to stand for as a child of God, as a Christian, there are certain conversations that will not come near your table.
What about people that always complain? Because we've got some messages here, especially requesting for prayers. I start business, is dying. No business is surviving. I start this, is dead. It was, business dying and all that. What's your advice?
And now, so we must also not forget the business world is a war front as well. All right? Now, in my local parish, I used to tell people, the market you go to, and you just spread your goods and just waiting for customers to come. Other people are going to that market with charms. So when you enter the market, you pray, you take territory. The Bible says, wherever the sole of your feet step to, what do? I'll deliver to you. Yes. So as you go into whether in the office, in your business place, take charge. Lord, I am going to the market today. I take authority. Sales comes to me. God, the four winds of the earth begin to address things, begin to address issues from God's perspective. Then be committed. Honesty is very, very key if your business is going to thrive. Don't use dishonest gain. Don't over profit. So these are some of the basic principles that can translate from our work with God to our business enterprise. I've seen businesses, we have had a lot of testimony about businesses that are paying tithe. It's a business. It is not it's a business, but you also pay tithe as a business because you want the business to prosper. But if you are just consuming everything, you don't no space for God. I've heard of a gentleman in Abuja that every Friday or one day in a week, the office is shut down from 9 a.m. to 12. They are praying.
Wow.
It's an office, corporate office. Client comes at that time, they are not open. Business come at that time, they are not open. They open at specific time because they were praying at that hour. And that man doesn't stress himself. Businesses were coming, contracts were coming everywhere. Why? Because he committed it to the hands of God. So we must learn this practice as believers so that we can thrive in the corporate world.
Pastor Adetunji Faith Afolabi, we really want to appreciate you. In fact, you've delivered a whole lot more than we expect, even with the space of time. Thank you so much for your time and your advice to us today.
Thank you,
and the Lord bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Don't worry, it's our year, so we are going to do more together by the grace of God, because businesses must prosper this year.
Must prosper.